Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the joystick lever series, where I talk about each part of the lever. At the end of this series, you will fully understand each part of the lever, what it does, and how to change it. Last episode, we talked about the ball top and the bat top. So moving down, in this video, we are going to talk about the shaft cover, and the dust washer. So let's begin. Let's start with the dust washer. As you can tell from the name, the main purpose of the dust washer is to prevent dust, sand, snacks, cookie crumbs from falling into the lever or the cabinet. Without a cover, over time, there can be a lot of buildup inside the lever or the cabinet. So if you didn't have a washer, it would be like this. It would be like this. And over time, things will fall inside and interfere with the function of the equipment. Very simple, right? It is just to prevent things from falling inside the lever and the cabinet. The washers comes in different colors and different patterns. It also comes in two different sizes, one smaller and one bigger. I mean the middle hole. So one has a bigger hole, another one has a smaller hole. The bigger one is for players who prefer to use a shaft cover. So as you can see, it fits perfectly with the shaft cover. The other one with the smaller hole will not fit. It is for players who prefer just to have to use the shaft itself. So as you can see, it fits just right with the shaft. Next, we have the shaft cover. The shaft cover has a few functions. Number one, for comfort. Some players don't like the metal feeling. Sometimes it feels cold. They prefer a softer material. Especially, for example, if you're wearing a ring, it's going to be metal on metal. So that's not going to be good. So something like a plastic shaft cover will solve the problem for comfort. Function number 2 of a shaft cover, it is to prevent damage to the shaft. As you know, the arcade is a public place. There can be a lot of traffic. People can sometimes break things. Like if you have coins on you, or if you have keys on you, you can easily just scratch or dent the shaft. So having a shaft cover, you can minimize damage to the shaft. It is a lot easier and cheaper to replace a plastic shaft cover with a new one than to replace a brand new shaft. As you can see from, let me focus here. On this one, there's already a lot of dents on here because I do a lot of testing on it. So over time, it does get scratch and dent easily. Function number 3 of a shaft cover is to prevent people from taking the washer and the ball top. The way the lever is designed is that the ball top screws on to the shaft. So in order for the ball top to go on, the shaft has to not move. When we hold it, right, we can, as you can see, we can screw on the ball top. So the problem is, if you have access to the metal shaft, okay, let me bring in, pretend this is the arcade. If you leave the joystick like this in the arcade, anyone with a plier, okay, can just hold on to the shaft and turn the ball top or anyone with a rubber band that is kind of strong can just grip onto the shaft and just twist off the ball top. And then you can take the ball top, and you can also, you can also take the washer. So the workers will have to constantly replace these. So how do you fix that problem? Is by adding a shaft cover on the shaft. So pretend if you put a shaft cover on the shaft and then screw this back in. The shaft cover, as you can see, spins on its own. So this will prevent people from taking the dust washer and the ball top. Now moving on to the shaft itself. The shaft comes in a few different sizes. There is a short one, a standard one. This is standard one that comes in your factory Sanwa JOF, and then there is a long one, or what they call an extended one. And over here we have a little guy. This is called an extender. So if you want, you have a short one, and you feel like maybe I want to make it a little bit longer, right? You can just actually screw this on, and now you have a slightly longer shaft, and the length is actually between the standard and the long one. And if you take the little guy and you put the little guy on the standard one, now it becomes the long one. Oops. Whoop. So the same length. Okay. And these comes in different sizes and different colors and different finishes. So not only for Sanwa JLF, these three are for Sanwa JLF, but you can also find different sizes for other levers, such as Hayabusa and Senmitsu. And also, aside from different sizes, you can get them in different color and different finishes. So right here I have a spray painted blue and a spray painted red. They look really nice. So you can really like dress up your arcade stick and lever if you want to. So at the end of the day, the main purpose of these different sizes is to fit different players, different hand sizes, and different games. Someone who has a smaller hand may want to go with the shorter shaft, right? Someone who has big hands, a big guy, may want to go with the longer shaft because it's more room for his hand. And then someone who plays Pac-Man and retro games, a lot of players prefer a shorter shaft for those type of games. And someone who plays airplane shooters and racing game may want a longer shaft. So it really just comes down to comfort and personal preference. Now this last part, I'm going to show you guys how to change the shaft. It is easier if you have a tiny flathead screwdriver and a small plier. As we all know, the shaft is a metal pole or aluminum pole that goes all the way down, holding different parts together, including the actuator. So step one, we want to remove the restrictor gate. You want to just push down on these black tabs and it comes right off. All right, like that. This is a square gate. Put that aside. Next, we want to, so let me show you. So when you move the shaft, the actuator that is on the end of the shaft is pushing against the switches. And that's how we get the different directions. Now we want to remove the PCB and the switches. Okay, now it looks like this. The next step, you want to take a tiny flathead screwdriver while holding on to the shaft, and you see there is a tiny hole on the E-clip. You want to insert the the flathead screwdriver, and you want to, well, put your finger on the E-clip so it doesn't fly away because it's spring loaded. So you want to just insert, and then kind of like just twist, or kind of just pry slowly, and it should come off easily. Okay, there's the E-clip. Next comes off is the actuator. Next comes off is the spring. And the next comes off is the base spring base. Okay. And then you want to turn it sideways. This is another washer that goes here, but it doesn't matter. If it falls out, it falls out. If it doesn't fall out, you can leave it in there. And now turn it sideways. You're basically able to take everything out. Next comes off is the pivot. It's focusing on the wrong thing. The pivot comes off, and then everything else comes off. And then we just untwist the ball top. This is a standard length. We're going to, let's for example go with a extended length. Okay, so now we want to reverse the order. We want to take the pivot first. Okay, and then you want to take, if this falls out, you want to put this back on, on the back here. Okay, and then pivot goes in like that. Next goes is the spring base. All right, and then next goes in is the spring. Next goes in is the actuator. Now while holding the shaft, you also want to push down on here, so that way you can put the E-clip on. So with the E-clip, the easiest way is just to put it on the edge, and then you use a plier and just squeeze it. This is the easiest way. There we go. So now it looks like this. The next part we want to put is PCB and the switches, right? Just like before. Last part we want to put back is the restrictor gate. You want to just push down like that, and up to you here if you want to put this back, but now it doesn't fit because now it's the extended one. So let's forget about this, and this one here, for example, here, and then you want to put this back in. So now this is a extended version of the joystick lever. Lastly, if you're still watching, I hope that was not too boring. I hope you were able to learn something new. So in conclusion, the shaft length, the shaft size basically comes down to personal preference. So if you feel like your joystick lever is not the right size, maybe too small, maybe too big, maybe consider changing the length to see if it's more comfortable. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe is always helpful for a small channel. I'll see you guys on the next video.